Yes, you read the title of this video right. Tucker Carlson used to be the best host on cable TV. Now, he's taking over the online space by hosting an event with all of the Republican nominees. Well, most of them. Also in the news, we have Project Veritas exposing the director of an energy company, and we have the poor man's tax just paid off for this one person in LA that bought a winning jackpot ticket and won $1.07 billion. That's $580 million after taxes. All of that and more on today's episode.
Facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past.
Just a few weeks ago, we had the biggest day for the Republican presidential hopefuls. Yes, you read the title of this video right. Tucker Carlson used to be the best This was all because of Tucker Carlson. He was at the forefront of interviewing the Republican nominees. Well, actually, he was hosting the event for the presidential hopefuls. Yeah, that's kind of a big deal. Looking at the questions he asked, we can see clear as day how much we really do not need the mainstream media anymore. This is reflected in their ratings, but I digress. This was yet again another event that we needed to prove our hypothesis. When independent journalists do their job is refreshing. Not only refreshing, but it's influential and educational, something the mainstream media fails at time and time again. And they know this too. That's why they are all, as a whole, they're refusing to cover this event. They don't want anybody to know that you can actually get educated by watching an event, or even hearing the opposite side of opinion. That's exactly what the mainstream media strives for every day. A one-sided view, while at the same time calling themselves bipartisan. As a media company, you are free to have a political bias, but you must admit this fact to your audience, not just cover it up. As a media company, you are free to have a political bias, but you must admit this fact to your audience, not just cover it up. The media knows that you can just go to a small media company and get way better reporting somewhere else. I mean, anywhere else. But they know you won't. Not just because you won't, but because they say good luck as their friends slowly ban out the competition. Even though this event was a few weeks ago, it is the most transparent presidential candidates can ever be. Of course, the media would rather spend another day making up talking points for their audience to just regurgitate. But of course, they know all of this, but they refuse to change their ways. I won't hold my breath. But redirecting our focus towards the event, we can see that a couple of people were missing from the bunch, and one of them was Trump himself. He didn't want to come because he is far ahead in the polls, and he thought that it would be unnecessary, which at this point, he's about 50 points up, so I don't blame him. Even if he was to do so, the media would just make up lies about him and take him out of context like they do every single time. And there's a couple of reasons why they do this. One being that they know that Trump brings clicks and shares way more than anyone else right now. And the second is a bigger problem we have in politics right now. If you make someone the topic of discussion and that person isn't talked about, then people will become uninterested. But the media has no one to blame but themselves. The people in the media put themselves into a situation where they need Trump to stay relevant and Trump needs them to stay relevant. It's a two-way street. Every time they talk about an investigation into Trump, the poll numbers go up, at least on the Republican side of things. But what's even more interesting is that Tucker Carlson isn't just looked at like a journalist. He is looked at like the average American voter. And that is the key takeaway. Tucker probably knows the answers to the questions he is asking, much like we the people know. Tucker probably knows all the answers to the questions he is asking, much like we the people know. But we the people want to hear how our politicians will react and how they will reflect not only on our presidential candidates, but also on the Capitol. While at the same time asking the question, will they even help our situation or ruin it for good this time? With that being said, let's dig into the headlines of the week. Starting off, we actually have a Project Veritas article. Executive Director of Siemens Energy admits green energy is depleterious, engages in marketing fluff. So let's actually watch the video here.
Every CEO will lose his job tomorrow if he says, hey, we're going to lose money, but we're going to comply with ESG. And you'll see a lot of marketing fluff, and Siemens Energy is also guilty of it. Talk about how, hydrogen's the future or whatever's the future. Then you turn around and internally where's our revenue coming from? Gas terminals, not hydrogen. So you guys help bring the IRA together?
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I think it's great. I mean, we're benefiting from it.
I don't really think it's not actually helping inflation. I mean, it's the
No,
names.
it's like the opposite. Actually, it's causing inflation because there's a bunch of money being spent.
Exactly. It's like they're giving money to their...
It's an oxymoron.
Meet Clark Fangmeyer, the executive director for Siemens Energy. Clark explains how Siemens Energy benefits from the current inflation, outlining exactly how Siemens is making more money from the Inflation Reduction Act, and even goes as far to say the Inflation Reduction Act is causing inflation.
Of course.
too.
You work for Siemens Energy.
See, obviously, printing more money and putting it into the economy is not going to fix the problem here. It's like you have a spending problem. So you know what you need to do? Pull out a new credit card. Like, that's not going to fix the issue.
And their captive finance group. So you guys help bring the IRA together?
The who?
The IRA, the Inflation Reduction.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the IRA, the Irish rebels. Yeah, what do you think about that?
I think it's great. I mean, we're benefiting from it.
Yep. How's it helping you?
I mean, it has a subsidy for hydrogen in there, so it's helped push. We sell electrolyzers, which make hydrogen. It extends the tax credit for wind, which we're always happy about.
Nice.
I guess gas turbine, it kind of indirectly helps us with all the carbon capture stuff that's in there.
It seems like one of those things, right, that it's really kind of like helping people, and I don't really think it's not actually helping inflation. I mean, it's the
No,
names.
it's like the opposite. Actually, it's causing inflation because there's a bunch of money being spent.
Exactly. It's
Yep.
like they're giving money to their...
It's an oxymoron.
It is an
Fangmeyer then
oxymoron.
admits to me how Siemens is guilty of, quote, marketing fluff, along with expressing criticism of ESG ratings and those who comply with ESG, stating that it's, quote, a one-way ticket to getting replaced.
Yeah.
Yet also states how, at the end of the day, quote, incentives drive behavior.
We're focused on economics. And look, you can, at the end of the day, if you want hydrogen or green e-fuels, all that stuff to work, the math has to work, right? No company, any company that decides, hey, I'm just going to do ESG, I'm going to be environmentally friendly, screw it, that person will be replaced. It's a one-way ticket to get fired because you'll start losing money. If there's not a way to make money, no one's going to do it.
But publicly, you have to play along. Yeah.
And you'll see a lot of marketing fluff, and Siemens Energy is also guilty of it. Talk about how, hydrogen's the future or whatever's the future. Then you turn around and internally, where's our revenue coming from? Gas terminals.
Of course.
Not hydrogen.
Because all these things are not even efficient. We're just switching to all these things thinking that they're efficient, but they're really not. Looking at a solar panel grid, you need to chop down all these trees, which cuts back on the wildlife that's in there, destroys homes of millions of different organizations or organisms all throughout the woods, just so we can build a solar panel farm, which then does not even supply enough electric for us to power a small city. So what are we talking about here? We had a small city in LA try to go off of solar panels fully, and it was not enough electricity. So they had to just limit their electric use. They had to say, oh no, you can only use electric during this times. Like, that's ridiculous. No, just because you're not producing enough electricity. No. We're going back to how we used to do it and how we do it now in certain parts of the United States with our coal power plants. We're fine. Coal is fine. Just like car gasoline is fine. We have trees that filter out the air. God, I'm done with this. Okay, this is already boring. Okay, so the thing is, yes, we already knew this was the case. We didn't need the CEO to tell us, but it just proves what we knew already. Moving on to the next article, we actually have a AP News article. We have tiny downtown LA store near Skid Row sells winning Powerball jackpot ticket worth over $1 billion, which, like we talked about in the front of this show, the winner is going to take away $558 million. So your odds of winning is, okay, so the odds is 1 in $292.2 million. That's just crazy. Your odds are not in your favor. The house always wins. Okay, if you put your money, this is why they call it the poor man's tax. You're so obsessed with getting the jackpot money that you're just wasting all your whole entire paycheck into this thing, and then you're not even going to win. The chances of you winning are so slim to none that you just might as well not even buy it. Just like the scratch tickets, you're not going to win. Stop wasting your money. Put that $5 that you were going to spend into the lottery, spend that instead in the stock market, in the S&P 500, which raises an average of 5% every single year. 5% of $5 is 5 cents, 5 cents a year every single year. $10, 10 years, you do the math, and it keeps compound interest. It just keeps building. It keeps building. Let's just say every single week, $5. $5 times 52. Do you do the math there? That's a lot of money that you're going to have there. So, and it keeps increasing by that 5% every single year in a compound interest. So now that you have $5.05, then you'll have $5.11 because of compound interest. It just keeps multiplying. By the time that you retire, every time you wanted a scratch ticket, instead of spending the $5 on something you most likely will not win, you do a 100% odds of winning in the long term and invest in the stock market. It's just so much better off for you. But we're going to be moving into the next segment, which is the media's takes. Okay, so we're going to be starting off with a CNN article with all eyes on Washington grand jury amid signs of possible third Trump indictment. So the biggest question about the 2024 presidential campaign so far is whether voters or jurors will get to cast the first verdict on Donald Trump. A White House race that figures to be one of the most fought in history, and again in suspended admission, as the political world awaits more potential criminal charges. The Republican frontrunner is expecting from special counsel Jack Smith. Trump has none of his ability to shatter political conversations. Just months ago, the notion that a former president and political future commander-in-chief could be indicted was staggering and unprecedented. Now it's becoming an almost regular occurrence. Okay, so of course CNN is going to take this in the approach of, oh, Trump is bad and everything that he does, and listen, we don't want to hear it, CNN. We know that these are politically charged charges, and yes, just because they are politically motivated and charged, it does not mean that, yes, he did not break the rules. But would they do this to anybody else if they broke the rules? No. But did he actually break some rules? He allegedly did. Allegedly. And based on the evidence that we're seeing now, and I don't know if Trump has any other evidence to prove that he's not at fault, but him saying that he knew that the documents were classified, he said it, these I could have classified these documents right here. Look at this. They're going to go here and here and here, and Millie didn't want me to see this, and blah, 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 blah. Listen, if you don't have classifications for that article, you can't be showing people that article. Moving on to the next article, we actually have an MSNBC article. We have Trump's plans for 2025 sound like a vengeful disaster. Neutralizing the media's power to expose his well-documented corruption would be a top priority, of course. So how about Hillary Clinton's corruption with the emails that she got hacked just because she wanted to have it in her own personal server? Just like how Anthony Weiner actually had his nudes leaked because he wanted to send it to Chinese spies, and just like other documents that Anthony Weiner had on his laptop. Not good. Starting off, we have former President Donald Trump plans to reshape the federal government to give himself vast personal powers if he returns to the White House in 2025. Okay, I'm going to stop you right there, full stop. We have Joe Biden over here trying to pass the act to actually cut down on student loans, even though the Supreme Court told him, no, you can't do that. And he decides to do it anyway. So what are you talking about? They're going to give, no. This is what happens. You have the executive order, which you can use, but you cannot use your executive order if the Supreme Court just told you not to do that. Those plans are reported by New York Times on Monday and are consistent with a 21st century playbook for authoritarians. Tell the public how you will set up an authoritarian state. Well, before you get into office, frame your intended expansion of executive powers as a mere streamlining of government. Don't forget to repeatedly praise directors as brilliant and top of the line people, so there will be no surprises when you act in a similar manner. And when your followers have appetites for discussion for existing norms, by advertising how you will purge the sick political class that hates our country from government. Okay, so first of all, if we get rid of the government officials that hate our country, then that's not a bad thing. Second of all, they're trying to make Trump into a dictator, which they've always tried to do. But how is he a dictator when he's voted in? We can sit here and just say, Obama is a dictator, Obama's a dictator, or Hillary Clinton's a dictator, or this guy's a dictator, this guy's a dictator, just because they want to go and push a political agenda, or a certain agenda, I should say. So just because somebody is pushing a certain agenda, it does not mean that they are a dictator. That doesn't make any sense. That's just way over the top and over marginalizing it. It just does not make any sense at all. Many Americans have become hypnotized to Republicans normalizing exponential events. The violent January 6th. Oh, it's just nonstop with these people. January 6, 2021 happened 2 years ago. Come on, guys. Get over yourself. Get over yourself. You know what also happened in 2021? The summer of riots. The 2021 riots in the streets because of George Floyd and BLM burnt cities to the floor. Burnt cities to the ground. We have video of that. We have so many people getting arrested. We have so many cops being injured. We have so many cops being insulted or assaulted. Both of them. Crazy. No respect for anything. And you're going to sit here and say, January 6th. No. First of all, don't bring up January 6th. You don't even know what the hell you're talking about on January 6th. Okay, now moving on to the next article. We actually have a Daily Wire article. We have Turkey explains how Dem, quote, trapped the wire on Joe Biden in IRS whistleblower hearing. So George Washington's University law professor Jonathan Turley said a House Democrat, quote, tripped the wire on President Joe Biden during a hearing on Wednesday. The legal expert argued that an exchange between Rep. Dan Goldman, Democrat from New York, and one of his witnesses, Internal Revenue Service IRS whistleblower Gary Shipley, undermined the president's denial that he ever spoke to his son Hunter about the younger Biden's business dealings. Goldman pointed to the movement in Shipley's prior testimony in which he quoted Hunter Biden business associate Rob Walker, informing the FBI that Hunter Biden told his father at lunch with executives at the Chinese energy firm CEFC, quote, I may be trying to start a company or try to do something else with these guys. Now, quote, let me ask you something, Goldman said. That doesn't sound much like Joe Biden was involved in whatever Hunter Biden was doing with the CEFC. If Hunter Biden is telling him that he's trying to do business with them, does it? In response, Shipley said, quote, no, but it does show that he told his father that he was trying to do business and he was talking to his father about the business. At that moment, Goldman threw his hands up in the air and said, and I quote, okay, well, that's true. Hunter Biden does try to do business. That's correct. So they got him on that. So you just lied to everybody. Obviously, Joe Biden knew exactly what his son Hunter was doing. That's why when he says, yes, he's the proudest guy, he's the most excellent guy, he is the most amazing guy that I know, the most smart man I know, of course. Joe Biden means this full-heartedly because the Democrat Party is full of people exactly like Hunter Biden. So if they do not accept Hunter Biden, they're not going to accept anybody within the Democratic Party because everybody in the Democratic Party, except for like the moderate / like middle of the road liberals, I would say that is exactly like this. On Twitter, Turley said Goldman, quote, tripped the wire on Joe Biden, adding, and trying to grill on the whistleblowers to show that there is no evidence that Joe Biden was involved. He enlightened and answered that the witnesses established that Joe Biden did discuss business dealings of Hunter with the Chinese. Goldman was trying to show that the witnesses did not mention a substantive role of Joe Biden. Shipley immediately noted that it did mean that he came up to discuss one of Hunter's dealings. The president continues to deny that fact, he added. Goldman prompted a sworn statement from the investigator that Biden did indeed discuss his son Hunter's business dealings, Turkey said. I'm doing so, Goldman may have delivered one of the most damaging moments in the hearing for the Bidens, but we already knew this, so is it that damaging? Turley, in ending his Twitter thread, said if Goldman had continued his line of inquiry about the Biden dealings for a few more minutes, it would have, quote, sealed the case for the appointment of the special counsel, of course. But is the special counsel actually going to do anything? Are we going to impeach Joe Biden? No. But if this was Trump, I mean, we can just keep repeating this all day long. If the Republican was in there, yes, we know we're treated unfairly compared to the liberals in the like the leftists here. We already know this. We're not going to reiterate that point over and 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 over again because it does not matter. We already know. Okay, we're treated unfairly. We just accepted it. Unless we get people in charge that will actually treat people fairly, exactly the way that they should be treated, not based off of what political agenda that you're trying to push, but merely based off of your merit. And if you're actually doing a good job, not unless we have that system in place in the United States, we're not going to get anywhere. Now let's move on to the next article, which is a Daily Wire article. We have IRS whistleblower gives jaw-dropping answer on if Joe Biden benefited from the son's Hunter business dealings. Did I just read that one? Okay, so yeah, I guess these two articles are very similar in nature. So we have, if it's posted from the same exact day, one is from Turley Explains, and then this is the IRS whistleblower. So this is going to go in depth about the IRS whistleblower that we just talked about. The IRS Special Agent Joseph Ziegler, a whistleblower who testified before Congress on Wednesday, said in an interview this week that numerous roadblocks were put in front of him during his investigation into President Joe Biden's son, Hunter. CBS News' reporter Catherine Heritage asked Ziegler, quote, did you uncover evidence that President Biden financially benefited from his son's dealings? Quote, I don't feel comfortable answering that question because why don't you feel comfortable answering this simple question? Because you know that we're poking and probing on the right cases here. Quote, anytime we potentially wanted to go down the road of asking questions related to the president, it was, quote, that's gonna take too much approvals. We can't ask those questions. And I mean, it created an environment that it was very hard to deal with. Ziegler said that the response he would get when he tried to press the issue was, quote, let's put that on the back burner. Of course, because they don't want to answer any questions. Ziegler said that the only question that matters at the end of the day is, quote, are we treating everyone the same? Are we treating our taxpayers the same? And in that case, no, I don't think so, he said. Of course, it's rules for thee and not for me. Ziegler said that he wanted to interview Hunter Biden's adult children because, quote, there was a lot of business deductions expenses were related to the adult children. When asked whether he got approval to ask, he said, quote, we never received the approvals to talk to those people because he was told by the assistant United States attorney that doing so was going to get them, quote, into hot water. Of course, because you're breaking the law. Quote, is that in the IRS handbook, avoiding hot water? Heritage asks. Quote, no, but I mean, I was asking to do these certain things and roadblock after roadblock was put in front of me, he said. Okay, so right then and there, this is an impeachable offense. Now, they're using our government to investigate other people through the IRS and FBI, but then when it comes to the people in charge of the thing, they say, no, you're not going to investigate me. No, it's going to put me into hot water. People are not going to like this, that you're going to find out about me. People aren't going to like this so much. So I ask you, don't do this investigation. It's just dumb, of course, because they want to just be corrupt as hell. They want to just get all of them, our money, our taxpaying money, to their friends, and their friends donate to them. That's how this goes. It's called the dirty laundry scheme, the laundromat scheme, where you give your friend $100,000, and then your friend donates $99,000 of that to your private company, and then that was a donation from him, not from you. It's just putting out the money. Yeah, very, very shady stuff going on. Moving on to the next article, we actually have a Breitbart article. We have leftists called to boycott In-N-Out Burger over new mask policy. Now, yes, you might be thinking, wow, wait a second, In-N-Out Burger is going to make masks mandatory again? No, it's actually the opposite. In-N-Out Burger is actually going to say, no, you know what? You need to have a notice to actually wear a mask if you're a worker. Good. You should not be able to be forced to wear a cloth on your face. That's not even going to help the situation. So if you do, then you're going to need something saying that you are mentally unwell, okay, to say the least. Cool. This is going with the article here. Leftists have been calling on people to boycott the Californian fast food empire In-N-Out over its new policy requiring employees in certain states to present a medical note if they wish to wear a mask to work. As Breitbart News reported, In-N-Out will not enforce the policy in its home state of California for employees who wish to wear masks. The new policy says that the medical note must, quote, clarify, state the reason for the exception, including the estimated duration that the mask will be needed. People who fail to comply can face disciplinary action, quote, up to and including termination of employment. The company further said that the ban would help, quote, emphasize the importance of customer service and the ability to show our associates smile. Of course, because a smile is the most fundamental human reaction that we can do. If you smile at a baby, the baby will smile back at you. So if you cover up your face, the baby cannot see your face because you're covering up your mouth. Quote, our goal is to continue to provide safe and customer-centric store and support environments that balance two things out. To balance things that In-N-Out is known for, exceptional customer service and unmatched standards for health, safety, and equity. The widely shared memo from the company said, quote, we believe this policy will help us promote a clear and effective communication, both with our customers and among our associates. It added, even though masks have been proven ineffective in battling the coronavirus, and even through the death toll of the virus was reportedly overcounted by 30%, oh, I wish that In-N-Out Burger was next to me because I would buy a burger now. I would buy a burger now for lunch. I'm going to make lunch here at home. No, I would buy a burger in In-N-Out Burger. That's amazing. That is amazing. I'm going to be going to North Carolina in a few weeks. If there's a In-N-Out Burger in North Carolina, I'm stopping there. That's crazy. That's crazy that a business put this out on a memo form. Wow, that's good. I love In-N-Out Burger now. I liked them before because they had little Bible verses on the bottom of their cups, which is actually very special because you don't see that. Now a business is coming out and saying, listen, coronavirus is just overcounted. The deaths are not proven. It's proven ineffective. Like, that's crazy stuff. I love that. Companies do this. Leftists have been raging on Twitter that In-N-Out policies is tantamount to discrimination. I'm actually... Okay, I'll just call you after. Yeah. Leftists have been raging on Twitter that In-N-Out's policy is tantamount to discrimination and called for a boycott. Quote, burger joint to avoid In-N-Out, tweeted epidemiologist Eric Felding to his over 700,000 followers. And In-N-Out employees in 5 United States will no longer be allowed to wear masks as part of a new company guidelines. Employees will need to get a doctor's note if they do, explaining why. Good. In this Ukraine flag account right here, Mark Hudge Films, other leftists begins pushing the hashtag quote boycott In-N-Out Burger in opposition to the mask policy. This is a full memo here. We are introducing this new policy guidelines that emphasize the importance of customer service and the ability to show our associates smiles and other facial features while considering the health and well-being of our individuals. We believe the policy will also help to promote a clear and effective communication both with our customers and among our associates. Our goal is to continue to provide safe and customer-centric store and support environments that balance out two things that In-N-Out is known for: exceptional customer service and unmatched standards for health, safety, and equity. Please find the details of our updated guidelines below, effective August 14, 2023. So this is going to be in effect in a couple weeks from now. General guidelines, quote, no masks should be worn in the store or support facility unless an associate has a valid medical note exempting him or her from the requirement. Associates who wear masks for medical reasons must wear a company-provided N95 mask, which is actually the only mask that works. Note, a different type of mask may be worn with a valid medical note, exempting the associate from the N95 mask requirement. This policy applies to all stores and support associates working in Arizona, Colorado, Nevada, Texas, and Utah, except associates who are required to wear masks or other protective gear as their job duties, quote, patty room associates, lab technicians, painters, etc. All associates, regardless of whether or not they are required to wear a mask, are expected to maintain our grooming standards, proper personal hygiene, and cleanliness to ensure a safe working environment for all. And no, take a shower, brush your teeth. Wow, these are basic things. And yes, you need to say these things because people won't. It's disgusting. People smell bad. Associates, okay, this is a medical note part of the note right here. Associates who have specific medical condition or health concern that requires them to wear a mask must provide a valid medical note to their store manager. divisional manager, or human resources. And I completely agree with this. And in response, what In-N-Out Burger says, this was in December 21st, 2022, deck the halls with doubles, la 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 la. Now, under here, somebody commented with a Ukrainian flag in their bio. Roll my eyes at them. Quote, "You are monsters. How dare you deliberately put your employees and your customers in direct danger during a pandemic." It's over. It's over. By not allowing them to protect themselves. What is wrong with you? Oh my God. This is just stupid. This is writing at Forbes. Dr. Judy Storn, an infectious disease physician, said that the new policy puts In-N-Out employees at serious risk. 3 years after a quote-unquote pandemic released into the world, you're gonna say this? The likelihood of you getting COVID and severely getting ill right now is close to none. Now, close to none. At the beginning, close to none. So it's the same exact thing. If you're healthy, you go and work out at least 1 hour a day, you're fine. You're 20 to 30 years old, maybe 40 years old, you're fine. Work out 1 hour a day. That's it. You're fine. Requiring a doctor's note is also a burden in terms of time and money. Oh well, don't wear the mask then. I don't know what to tell you. Many people don't have a primary care physician. Okay, then go to the doctor. Or one who is readily available. Okay, so when, in the 21st century, can you not go to the doctor when you need the doctor? I can go to the doctor anytime. If I need a doctor, I schedule it in the morning and they're ready for me by the evening. If I call the day prior, they're ready for me in the morning. When can you not go see your doctor? This doesn't make any sense. And requiring proof of disability might be considered a violation of the Americans with Disability Act, depending on how one interprets masking as a request for accommodation, she wrote. As Breitbart News reported, the conservative-leaning In-N-Out clashed with the California government during the coronavirus pandemic due to its refusal to enforce vaccine mandates in some stores. In 2021, the San Francisco Department of Public Health shut down the city's In-N-Out Burger restaurant near Fisherman Wharf because employees were not properly checking for customers' vaccination documentation. That's stupid. San Francisco. Of course, because you have naked people going around the streets in San Francisco. You need to check their vaccination requirement. How about you check your AIDS status in San Francisco? Because you're going to sit in a chair and you're going to spread AIDS. It's just you're naked. If you have any sort of STD, if you have any sort of virus going around in your private areas, you're naked going on the streets. That's disgusting. And a statement at the time, In-N-Out's chief legal and business officer, Arnie Winizar, said that the company fiercely disagrees with the government mandates that force businesses to discriminate. Quote, "We refuse to become the vaccination police for any government. This is unacceptable, invasive, and unsafe to force our restaurant associates to segregate customers into those who may be served or those who may not, whether based on the documentation they carry or any other reason," he said. Quote, "We fiercely disagree with any government dictatorate that forces a private company to discriminate against customers who choose to patronize their business," he added. Of course, if somebody's going to come to your store, you're going to say, "No, I don't want your money now because you didn't take the Fauci ouchie." Doesn't make any sense, and it's just infuriating in my part. It's just infuriating because I do remember COVID. I worked at a restaurant during COVID, and we had to wear masks, and the mask was just saturated in wetness from my face. It's called sweat. It goes on the mask. I mean, some people didn't hear about this. Yes, you sweat. It comes out of your face. And then it goes on the mask and it saturates the mask and then now it's all wet and you can't breathe. Congratulations. Moving into the next article, we have the Federalist article. We have 6 ridiculous narratives Democrats tried in response to the IRS whistleblowers damning Biden testimony. The IRS whistleblowers were in circles around Democrats in Wednesday's House Oversight hearing. IRS whistleblowers Gary Shapley and Joseph Ziegler testimony on Wednesday before the House Oversight Committee about the political interference in the Biden administration's investigation proved so unimpeachable that the Democrats resorted to a shotgun attack on everything except for the facts. Here's the top 6 themes that the left hammered during the hearing. Quote, "Orange man and his family and associates bad." Wednesday's hearing began promptly at 1. In opening statements by the Republican chair James Comer and Democrat ranking member Jamie Raskin, from the get-go, Raskin set one theme Democrats would continue to paddle over the course of the next 6 hours. Donald Trump is terrible, horrible, and no good, very bad man. Trump was impeached and is under indictment. His daughter was under investigation, and and her husband sold out to the Saudis. Trump's cronies, Manafort, Stone, Flynn, and Cohen, committed crimes, and Trump's pardoned them. On and on they went, pointing to Trump to turn the focus from the whistleblower's testimony that the evidence indicts Hunter Biden committed felonies, and now President Joe Biden have complicit in the illegality. Democrats likewise use this misdirection to avoid confronting the overwhelming evidence that the DOJ and FBI interfered in the investigation and protected the Biden family. And I completely agree, because it's the rules for thee and not for me, or the opposite, rules for thee and not for me. How dare Republicans say two-tier justice system? This is number 2. A second prevalent tactic on display during Wednesday's hearing was Democrats raging outrage over Republicans' complaints of a two-tier justice system. According to the Democrats on the committee, that phrase belongs to the civil rights movement and may not be invoked to condemn systemic racism. Some representatives ran so hard with this theme that they spent their allotted time highlighting decades-old hate crimes rather than asking the IRS whistleblowers questions concerning their testimony. One representative even quizzed Shepley on his knowledge of the racial disparity seen in the prosecution of tax cases. Shepley said that he was unaware of the statistic. The Democrats lawmaker then cited the relative percentages for the IRS agent, while remaining obvious to the fact that Shepley was complaining of favoritism bestowed on the white privileged Hunter Biden. Never mind the whistleblowers, let's talk about the Rudy and arms dealer. This is number 3. Democrats also sought to distract from the whistleblower's testimony by framing the evidence detailed by the two experienced and well-credited IRS agents as flowing from Rudy Giuliani, but as Ziegler testified, he launched the investigation into Hunter Biden after evidence implicating him was discovered persistent to a separate criminal investigation. None of the evidence Ziegler and Shepley developed came from Giuliani, nor did the allegations that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden each received $5 million in bribes from Burisma, as reported by the FBI confidential human source and summarized in the FD 1023, came from Giuliani. The IRS agents never saw the FD 1023 in any event. House Democrats likewise attempted to minimize the whistleblower's testimony by pretending that besides Giuliani, the only evidence of misconduct come from witness charged with being an arms dealer, namely Gal Luft. Whether Luft has credible evidence of the Biden family corruption, however, he has nothing to do with the Ziegler and Shepley's claims. And number 4, merely a misunderstanding. In their less historical moments, the Democrats offered a gentler spin, framing the House hearing as much ado about a misunderstanding. It came down to the whistleblowers not grasping the difference between a special counsel and a special attorney, several Biden apologists suggested. But as Shepley made clear, he had documented United States Attorney David Weiss's statement that the DOJ has denied Weiss's special counsel authority. Soon after, Weiss made the representation, and thus, while Shepley's memory was clear, in any event, according to Shepley, Weiss had also said during the meeting on October 7th, 2022, that he was not the final decision maker on whether to bring charges against Hunter Biden. The fact makes the distinction between a special counsel and a special attorney relevant. Raskin also suggested Shepley was confused about Weiss's authority, claiming the Delaware United States Attorney made clear on his letters to Congress that he had ultimate authority to charge Hunter Biden. Both whistleblowers disseminated the line of argument by highlighting that what Weiss actually said, which was that he lacked charging authority outside of Delaware. In fact, if anything, Raskin hurt his cause by highlighting the contradictions between Weiss and Attorney General Merrick Garland's statements, establishing the necessary for both DOJ bigwigs to testify before Congress to resolve the incoincidences. Just a difference of opinion. A related theme Democrats peddled during Wednesday's hearing centered on prosecutorial discretion. The left side of the aisle painted the whistleblower's testimony as merely a professional disagreement between the IRS agents and Weiss. But there was no disagreement in opinion. Shepley and Ziegler stressed both the IRS and Weiss agreed that Hunter Biden should be charged with multiple felony counts. Wiss, however, lacked the ability to bring charges in D.C. and it was the Biden-appointed United States Attorney there, as well as in California, that kept the Delaware United States Attorney from filing criminal felony charges against the president's son. Further, the D.C. and California United States Attorneys started efforts to bring felony charges against Hunter Biden proved especially rich given the Democrats' continued references throughout the hearing to Wiss being Trump's hand-picked United States attorney. Beyond the obvious point that being a Trump appointee establishes nothing under the Democrat standard, the involvement of the Biden-appointed United States attorneys removes this case from the difference of opinion scenario. Number 6. There's no evidence, I tell you, no evidence. The 6 narratives Democrats pushed during the oversight hearing was that there was no evidence of misconduct or favoritism. But to paraphrase Shapley's line, just repeating the same line multiple times doesn't make it true. And to say that there's no evidence of misconduct or favoritism is a whopper of a lie. The evidence of misconduct by the Biden's execs is a form of text, emails, chat messages, bank records, suspicious activity reports, the FD 1023 report, and statements made by former business partners such as Tony Bobulinski. The public record is also replete with evidence of DOJ and FBI favoritism, including the extensive testimony of these 2 whistleblowers, parts of which a third whistleblower has already corroborated. The Democrats may not like the evidence or want to talk about it, but to say none exists is about believable as the Secret Service's claim that they cannot determine whose cocaine was recovered at the White House. And I completely agree with that last part there. The White House is going to sit here and say, no, we do not have this technology to actually see who this belongs to. We don't have the technology to actually say we want to investigate you instead of you. We don't have the technology to do this or that and this and that and this and that. But as soon as a person on the right does something, oops, oh my God, I don't know how this phone landed in my hands, and I don't know how this DNA searcher landed in my pocket here. Oh, wait a second. We have a magnifying glass too, and we're going to do all this investigation. We're going to keep on doing the investigations and actually ask Bank of America to give me every single person that stayed at the Capitol surrounding area, their bank statements, so we can see exactly what stores you went to, so we can investigate you personally. And if we find that you have a shred of evidence, boom, we got you. But when it's a Democrat, wait a second, we don't see a thing. Wait a second, I don't see anything wrong with this thing at all. It's the one-sided thing. It's the one-sided favoritism that we don't like as an American citizens. We the people do not like that at all, because we know for a fact that this is exactly what you guys are doing. May have been born at night, but we were not born last night. Moving on to the last article, we actually have a Federalist article. We have endless Trump indictments and jail threats mean Republicans can't quit the weaponization fight. The deep state's innocent attempts to undermine the 2024 presidential election by throwing President Joe Biden's #1 political enemy in jail is getting old. It seems like every day Biden bureaucrats and Democrats manufacture new justifications for why former President Donald Trump deserves to be behind bars. Deranged Jack Smith, the prosecutor with Joe Biden's DOJ, sent a letter stating that I am a target of the January 6th grand jury investigation and giving me a very short 4 days to respond to the grand jury, which almost always means that the arrest and an indictment, Trump announced in a truth on Tuesday. This is the whole entire statement here. Wow. On Sunday night, when I was with my family, having just arrived from the Turning Point event in Florida, where I won a strong poll against all other candidates with the 85.7%, with all polls showing me leading in the Republican primary by very substantial evidence in numbers, almost everyone predicting that I will be the Republican nominee for president, as I am leading Democrat Joe Biden in the polls by a lot. Horrifying news for our country was given to me by my attorneys. Deranged Jack Smith, the prosecutor with Joe Biden's DOJ, sent a letter again, it was Sunday night, stating that I am the target of the January 6th grand jury investigation and giving me a very short 4 days to report to the grand jury, which always means an arrest and an indictment. So now, Joe Biden's Attorney General Merrick Garland, who I turned down for the United States Supreme Court in retrospect based on his corrupt and unethical actions, a very wise decision, in justice, have effectively issued a third indictment and arrest of Joe Biden's #1 political opponent, which is largely dominating him in a race for the presidency. noting nothing like this has ever happened in our country before, or even close. They illegally spied on my campaign, attacked me with totally fake dossier that was funded by the Hillary campaign and the DNC, impeached me twice. I won. They failed on the Mueller witch hunt, no collusion. They failed on the Russia hoax, the 51 intelligence agents fraud, the FBI/Twitter files, the DOJ/Facebook censorship, and every other scam imaginable. But on top of all that, they have now effectively indicted me on 3 times, and the DOJ staffed and runs the DA's office in Manhattan, with the profitable forthcoming from Atlanta, where the DOJ are in strict and possible illegal coordination with the district attorney, whose record on murder and other violent crime is abominable. This witch hunt is all about the election interference and a completely and total political weaponization of law enforcement. It is a very sad and dark period for our nation. And I can see where he's coming from, and I can see exactly what's going on here. Now, but the people come behind him when he's being attacked, yes. So if I was him, I would have just changed the fact that, yes, they're coming after me. But what are they doing? They're coming after me because I'm standing in the way of them versus you. So they're attacking me because I'm standing in the way. So that's how I would put it, because that's how he put it in 2016. And that really did help him out in 2016 because it got him to win against Hillary Clinton. But other than that, I love this whole entire statement right here. It's true. Every single thing that they threw at Trump, he won, and he got stronger after that. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and it made him a hell of a lot stronger. The reasoning behind the partisan push to knock Trump out of the presidential run is often toothless, something even anti-Trump pundits and lawmakers admit. In this particular case, the Biden administration is attempting to try Trump for actions on January 6th he was already cleared by the Senate. Quote, Smith will be hard-pressed to concoct a crime Trump committed relating to January 6th. With the former president's speech constitutionally protected in his legal theories, even if flawed, insufficient to create criminal liability, Federalist legal correspondent Merritt Kovlin wrote in April. Clearly, the deep state is willing to try anything to keep Trump and his voters from regaining power because they pose a threat to the current unconstitutionally inclined regime. Democrats and corporate media are so committed to this goal that they didn't even try to hide their desire to change election outcomes. Some propaganda press outlets are already attempting to blame Trump and his lawyers for fighting back against the influx of incitement. Quote, Trump lawyers seek infinite postponement of Democrats' documents trial. On one New York Times headline from last week reads, and from that one, I can see where they're coming from. I can see where both people are coming from. So yes, is it unfair that they're politically targeting Trump? No. But did Trump break the law when he was moving classified documents from thing to thing, from his office at the White House to his private building in Mar-a-Lago, Florida? Yes, it's illegal. So yes and no to the second question. So it can be, yes, it is unfair for them to be targeting Trump, and no, it is not fair for them to be, or it could be the opposite. No, it is not right for them to be targeting Trump, and yes, he did break the law while doing all these things. So yes, it could be a yes or a no and a yes, okay? So I can see where they're coming from. Yes, Trump did move some classified documents. Yes, he did. He admitted it in the video that we all saw. He tried to share the documents too. So, I mean, I just don't know why Trump would just put himself in the target. Like, did he want to be targeted and investigated so he can use this to win the 2024 presidential election? Like, he's risking going to prison here. This is what he's facing. If the case for the documents, the classified documents, comes back and he's found guilty, he can spend a lot of years in prison. That's not good. But with that being said, we're going to be moving in. Well, with that being said, we're going to be summing up this video here. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for enjoying it. If you did like this video, please like and subscribe down below because I do post new episodes of the show every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you all for watching, and I hope that you have a great rest of your day.